Good morning, everybody. This is something a little bit different than I've done. This is not comedy, not funny videos, anything like that, but it's something that I want to make a video of and that everybody needs to hear today. Today is September 11th, 2019. 18 years ago, one of the greatest terrorist attacks on our nation happened. 2 aircrafts crashed into the Twin Towers, killing thousands of our fellow Americans. It's a day of remembrance, and it's a day of reflection, and it's a day that I want everybody to be aware, regardless of your political affiliations, whether you're liberal, you're moderate, you're conservative, you're independent. Today, of all days, we come together and we're Americans. And it's a day of unity. It's a day to remember that whether we agree with each other or we disagree, we are brothers and sisters of this great nation. We're neighbors, we're families, we're friends, we're co-workers, and we all feel the same pain on this day. Today I want to do something a little special. I'm going to read a timeline of the events of September 11th, 2001. All the times are in Eastern time. So bear with me, please. It's quite a bit of information, so I will be reading from paper. Please forgive me for not having my attention on the camera, but it's something I want to read to you guys. So I hope you stick around and listen to it. And during this time that I'm reading it, reflect on that day. Think about where you were, what you were doing, what your kids were doing. I can tell you right now, I was 10 years old. I was living in Puyallup, Washington. I got up to get ready to go to school. And I went into the living room, and my parents and my neighbors were standing in the living room. And I remember walking out there, asking what is going on, and seeing the smoke from the first tower and wondering, well, that's weird, there's a fire on the tower. And then I remember being 10 years old and watching that TV and seeing that second plane hit the towers. I remember the fear, and I remember the terror and the sadness that I saw in my parents' eyes. And I was old enough to comprehend that not exactly what was going on, but that it was bad, and that it was something big, and it was something severe. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. 6 a.m. Mohammed Atta and Abdul Aziz Al Amari travel on Colgan Air Flight 5930 from Portland International Jetport in Portland, Maine, to Logan International Airport in Boston, Massachusetts. 6:45 a.m. Atta and Almari arrive in Logan International Airport. 6:52 a.m. Marwan Al-Shahi calls Atta from another terminal at Logan to confirm the plans for the attack are set. 7:35 a.m. Atta and Al-Amari board American Airlines Flight 11. 7:40 a.m. The rest of Flight 11 hijackers board the airplane. 7:45 a.m. Flight 11 is pushed back from gate B32 at Logan Airport. 7:58. United Airlines Flight 175 is pushed back from gate C19 at Logan Airport. 7:59 a.m. Flight 11 a Boeing 767 carrying 81 passengers and 11 crew members departs 14 minutes late from Logan International Airport in Boston. Its destination being Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, in Los Angeles, California. 8:01 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93 is pushed back from gate A17 at Newark International Airport. It's now Newark Liberty International Airport. 8:09 a.m. Flight 77 is pushed back from gate D26 at Dulles International Airport. 8:13 a.m. Flight 11 has its last routine communication with the Federal Aviation Administration's FAA's Boston Center. 8:13 a.m. 8:14 a.m. Flight 11 is hijacked when hijackers Walid and Wal al-Shari rise from seats 2A and 2B. Then they stab 2 flight attendants. Atta rises from seat 8D and approaches the cockpit. Within minutes, he is at the controls. 8:14 a.m. Flight 175. Another fully fueled Boeing 767 carrying 56 passengers and 9 crew members also depart from Logan International Airport in Boston. Its destination was also Los Angeles Airport. 5 hijackers are aboard. One of them, most likely al-Shahi, communicated with Mohammed Atta shortly before American Airlines Flight 11 takes off. 8:19. Betty Ong, a flight attendant on Flight 11, alerts American Airlines via the airphone. This is the following conversation. The cockpit is not answering. Somebody's stabbed in business class, and I think there's mace. We can't breathe. I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked. She then tells of the stabbings of 2 flight attendants. 8:20 a.m. The FAA's Boston Center Flight Controls decides that Flight 11 has probably been hijacked. 8:20 a.m. Flight 77, a Boeing 757 with 58 passengers, 6 crew members, departs from Washington Dulles International Airport for Los Angeles International Airport. 5 hijackers are aboard. Flight 11, 8:21 a.m. Flight 11's transponder signal is turned off, but can still be tracked via primary radar by the Boston Center. Prior to the 9/11 Commission's report, news organizations reported this time as 8:13 or immediately thereafter. 8:24 a.m. A radio transmission comes from Flight 11. Hey, we have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We are returning to the airport. It is believed that Atta mistakenly held a button directing his voice to radio rather than the plane's cabin, as he intended. A few seconds later, Atta's voice says, "Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any moves, you'll endanger yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet." Air traffic controllers hear this entire transmission. 8:25 a.m. Boston Center Flight Controls alert other flight control centers regarding Flight 11. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, is not yet alerted. 8:26 a.m. and 30 seconds. Flight 11 makes a 100-degree turn to the south, headed directly towards New York City. 8:33 a.m. Flight 175 reaches its assigned cruising altitude of 31,000 feet. 8:34 a.m. A third transmission from Flight 11. Nobody move. We're going back to the airport. Don't try to make any stupid decisions. 8:34 a.m. Dan Bueno, of Boston Center notifies Tower Control at Otis Air National Guard Base at Camp Cod for the hijacking of Flight 11. The controller directs Bueno to contact Northeast Air Defense Sector, NEADS, the Northeast Sector of NORAD. The controller then notifies Otis Operations Center that a call from NEADS might be coming. Two F-15 pilots begin to suit up. 8:37 a.m. Flight 175 confirmed sighting of hijacked Flight 11 to flight controllers 10 miles, 16 kilometers to its south. 8:37 a.m. and 52 seconds. Boston Control notifies NEADS of the hijacking of Flight 11. The first notification received by NORAD from Flight 11 has been hijacked. The controller requests military help to intercept the jetliner. (8:41 a.m.) The FAA's New York Center requests information about Flight 11 over the radio. Flight 175 responds, we heard a suspicious transmission on our departure out of Boston with some sounds like someone keyed the mic and said, everyone stay in your seats. New York Center acknowledges and says it will pass the information on. 8:42 a.m. Flight 93. A Boeing 757 takes off with 37 passengers and 7 crew members from Newark International Airport bound for San Francisco International Airport. Following a 40-minute delay due to congested runways, 4 hijackers are aboard. Its flight path initially takes it close to the World Trade Center, which is 4 minutes away from being struck, before moving away westwards. This is an approximate time. Between 8:42 a.m. and 8:46 a.m., Flight 175 is officially hijacked. 8:44 a.m., Flight attendant Amy Sweeney aboard Flight 11 reports by telephone to Michael Woodward at the American Airlines Flight Services office in Dallas. Something is wrong. We are in rapid descent. We are all over the place. 1 minute later. Woodward asks her to describe what she sees out the window. She responds, I see water. I see the buildings. I see the buildings. A short pause, she reports, we are flying low. We are flying very, very low. We are flying way too low. Seconds later, she says, oh my God. We are way too low. And the call ends. The call ends with a very loud burst of sustained static. 8:46 a.m. 2 F-15 fighter jets are ordered to scramble from Otis Air National Guard Base in Massachusetts, intended to intercept Flight 11. Because Flight 11's transponders is off, the pilots do not know the location of their target. NEADS spend the next several minutes watching their radar screens in anticipation for Flight 11 returning a radar contact. Seconds after American Airlines 11 impacted the North Tower. 8:46 a.m. and 40 seconds. 8:46 a.m. and 40 seconds. Flight 11 crashes at roughly 466 miles per hour into the north face of the North Tower of the World Trade Centers between floors 93 and 99. The aircraft enters the tower intact and plows to the building's core, severing all 3 gypsum-encased stairwells, dragging combustibles with it. A powerful shock wave travels down the ground and up again. The combustibles and the remnants of the aircraft are ignited by the burning fuel. As the building lacks its traditional full cage frame and depends almost entirely on the strength of a narrow structural core running up the center, Fire at the center of the impact zone is in a position to compromise the integrity of the internal columns. People below the severed stairwells start to evacuate, but no one above the impact zone is able to do so. BBC correspondent Stephen Evans was sitting in the foyer of the South Tower and described hearing a huge bang like somebody dropped a skip full of rubbish, followed by 2 or 3 similar huge explosions. The South Tower shook. French filmmakers Jules and Gideon Naudet and Czech immigrant Pavel Hlava videotaped the crash of Flight 11 with their video cameras from different locations. A WNYW TV camera records the sound, but not the image. 8:46 and 43 seconds. Chief of the New York Fire Department's 1st Battalion, Joseph Pfeiffer, makes the first fire department radio message advising the fire department in New York City, Manhattan Fire Dispatch Office of the crash. Chief Pfeiffer and personnel from the other companies were several blocks north. On the corner of Church Street and Lisbonard Street, investigating an odor of gas in the street, and witnessed the attack, along with Jules Naudet, who was accompanying the firefighters at the time. Battalion 1st Chief Pfeiffer. Battalion 1 to Manhattan. Manhattan Dispatch. Battalion 1 K. Battalion 1 Chief Pfeiffer. We just had a plane crash into the upper floor of the World Trade Centers. Transmit a second alarm and relocated companies into the area. Manhattan Dispatch. 10-4, Battalion 1. (8:48 a.m. to 10:28 a.m.) At least 100 people, some accounts say as many as 250, primarily in the North Tower, trapped by fire and smoke in the upper floors. Trapped in the upper floors, jumped to their deaths. One person at street level, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get through this. It's emotional for me, okay? I'm trying to get through it. I'm going to restart that paragraph, okay? Firefighter Daniel Sir is hit by a jumper and dies. No form of airborne evacuation is attempted as smoke is too dense for a successful landing on the roof of either tower, and New York City lacked helicopters equipped for horizontal rescue. 8:48 a.m. and 8 seconds. Local New York television stations WNYW makes the first broadcast report of an incident at the World Trade Centers less than 2 minutes after the plane crashed in North Tower. WNYN breaks into a Paramount Picture movie trailer for Zoolander with the first live TV picture of black smoke coming from the North Tower, relayed by WNYN cameraman at the ground level. One of the station's camera crews already had been out on the street that morning for New York mayoral primary elections. As WNYN broadcasts the first live pictures of smoke, the voice of reporters Dick Oliver is heard as he reports from the scene to anchor Jim Ryan, who was not in the studio at the time. Jim, just a few minutes ago, something believed to be a plane crash into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. I just saw flames inside. You can see smoke coming out of the tower. We have no idea what it is. It was a tremendous boom just a few minutes ago. You can hear around me emergency vehicles heading towards the towers. Now, this could have been an aircraft or it could have been something internal. It appears to be something coming from the outside, due to the nature of the opening on the 100th floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. 3 minutes later, Jim Ryan corrected the location of the first plane crash from the South Tower to the North Tower. 8:48 a.m. and 29 seconds. The first radio report of the incident was heard on WCBS AM through traffic reporter Tom Kaminsky. WCB's traffic reports are delivered 10 minutes on the 8th, meaning that Kaminsky's traffic report was to come within 2 minutes of the initial impact of the Flight 11, although there is no record of how much time actually passed. At the time, Kaminsky's was in Chopper 880 WCB's helicopter that he reports from the morning and evening rush hour traffic reports. The following consists WCB's anchor Pat Carroll crossing Kaminsky's in the chopper report before he files. Pete Carroll, WCBS News Time 8:48. It's traffic and weather together, sponsored by Henry Miller's Theater. Tom Kaminsky, Chopper 880. Tom Kaminsky, all right, Pat, we are just currently getting a look at the World Trade Center. We have something that has happened here at the World Trade Center. We noticed flame and an awful lot of smoke from one of the towers of the World Trade Center. We are just coming up on the scene. This is easily 3/4 of the way up. This is, whatever has just occurred within minutes, and we are trying to determine exactly what is. But currently we have a lot of smoke on top of the towers of the World Trade Centers. We'll keep you posted. (8:49 a.m. in 34 seconds). The first network television and radio reports of the explosion or incident in the World Trade Centers. CNN breaks into a Ditech commercial at 8:49 a.m. The CNN screen subtitle first reads, World Trade Center disaster. Carol Lynn, the first TV network anchor, breaks into the news of the attack, says, "This just in. We are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot here. That is the World Trade Center. We have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened. But clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there on the south end of the island of Manhattan. This is once again a picture of one of the towers of the World Trade Center." They follow that statement by a picture of the towers. Just a minute later, Sean McGaugh, CNN Vice President of Finances, in on-air call, says from his office in CNN New York Bureau that a large passenger commercial jet has seen to hit the World Trade Center. McGaugh is the first person employee on the air. The first email bulletins of breaking news from CNN and MSNBC report fire at Tower of World Trade Center. Both CNN and MSNBC websites receive such heavy traffic that many servers collapse. BBC News website is active and shows a picture of the North Tower on fire. Minutes later, email news bulletins revise and reports on fire of plane crash. 8:50 a.m. NEADS is notified that a plane has struck the World Trade Center as they continue to try to locate the flight on radar. 8:50 a.m. as well. ABC News was airing Good Morning America at the time of the attack, returning from a commercial break. WABC TV in New York breaks away from ABC Network to carry its original local coverage of the disaster. While on the network, GMA hosts Charles Gibson and Diane Sawyer made the announcements of the first plane that hit the North Tower. 8:50 a.m. WCBS TV in New York breaks away from the CBS network to cover the attack. 8:50 a.m. as well. CBNBC interrupts an episode of Squawk Box hosted by Mark Haynes with the report of the unfolding attack. 8:50 to 8:54. It's approximate time. Flight 77 is hijacked. 8:51 a.m. Local New York television station WNBC breaks away from NBC Network to begin its coverage on the attack. 8:51 a.m. Matt Lauer, co-host of NBC's News Today, interrupts the interview with author Richard Hack and says to the audience, "We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center. We have a breaking story right now." However, NBC did not immediately have the picture ready and went to a regular scheduled commercial break. They returned with a shot of the burning tower. Programming is interrupted on MSNBC. 8:51 a.m. A flight controller of FAA's New York Center notices the Flight 175 has changed its transponder code twice 4 minutes earlier. He tries to contact. So that's the information that I have for the first two hits on the towers. I don't have the information on the other things. I don't want to make light to remember that there was 4 planes that crashed that day. 2 into the towers, Flight 174 and Flight 11. On top of that, we had a flight that was taken over by passengers, brave American patriots that took over that plane, that realized what was going on and decided to take action, that knew that they could not save their lives or their fellow passengers, but they could prevent other lives lost. And they flew that plane into a Pennsylvania field, and they lost their lives. But how many lives did they save doing that? That is the definition of an American patriot. The definition of a person that loves their country. A definition of a person that loves their neighbors. That understood the severity of what was before them, and in a split second took the action to save lives. Let us not forget the flight that hit the Pentagon. This isn't, I don't have a political agenda for this. I'm not going to quote parties. I'm not going to recite Twitter posts from today that I saw of this. This video is strictly for you guys to come together. Let's take a moment of silence and let's remember that tragic day. Politics aside, opinions aside, whatever your issue is, whether you believe in conspiracies, whether you don't, let's take a minute and let's remember the people that lost their lives today. Just 1 minute. Take a second. Take it in. Think how lucky we are and how blessed we are to sit at the tables with our families, to take our kids to school, to go to work today, to be upset about something. These people that were on these flights, within split seconds, you guys, their life was altered forever. Their life was ended. They had a split-second decision that they had to make. Am I going to sit back and be passive and do what these people say? Or am I going to take command of this aircraft? Am I going to charge that cockpit because I know something's wrong? Knowing damn well that I can't fly this fucking thing. Excuse me for my language. But I'll be damned if somebody is going to commit terror and take my fellow Americans' lives. God damn it, people, those are fucking heroes. Those are the heroes that we should remember every day, not just on September 11th of every year. Not talk about it all year long, but September 11th, we bring it up and hey, we remember it. That is the American spirit. That's the American way. I don't care about your politics. I've said that like 3 times now in this video. I don't care. I really don't. And you shouldn't too. That's the American way. Anyway, guys, I'm done with my video. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. If you actually watched through this whole video, thank you. It was long, but I felt like I needed to say it, okay? So today, while you're out getting your coffee, while you're stressed about work, while you're pissed about somebody driving slow in the fast lane, take a second. Take a step back. Think about today. Think about today 19 years ago, where you were, what you were doing. And then think about the people 19 years ago that were in those planes. They had to experience that. That in the moment that end their lives, they made a decision. They called their loved ones. Whether they were the planes that hit the towers and they didn't have a clue of what was going on, or they were the passengers that flew that plane in a Pennsylvania field, or the passengers that flew in to the Pentagon. Think about what they were going through. You know, our shit, my shit, your shit, it doesn't compare. So whatever you're dealing with today, think about that. Take a minute. Take a couple minutes. Fuck, take an hour. Sit there and think about it. You know, we all go around and yeah, you know, we're friends with each other and stuff, but we bicker, we banter, we bitch about politics, we fight amongst each other on social media. I mean, just take a minute. Let that sink in. And maybe today you see somebody that you're friends with, but you don't necessarily agree on shit with each other. Tell them you love them. Tell them that you appreciate that they're here. Tell them that you appreciate the contribution that they've made to our country, our community, our town. Tell them that, hey, I'm glad I saw you today. I hope you have a good day. Reflect on that. Because at the end of the day, we're all Americans. At the end of the day, we're all neighbors. We're all community members. Okay? Anyway, it's Hillbilly Heathen. I'm out of here. Peace. I love you guys. Reflect on this day. Be kind on this day. Show each other favoritism. Show each other love. I'll see you guys later.